Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Mike. I'll be going through creating a company with you. It's a nice and easy webinar to end the week on. So, what we'll be going through is actually just the setup of a company and all sort of the different options within that module and section. So, we'll show you how to classify certain companies and add certain information in. So, we'll get started. So, all the company management is done pretty much through the company and companies section. And if you wanted to set up a company, what you do is either go to this section and hit the new button, or anywhere in Premium you can set up a new company by going to new record and company. So once you click that, you'll be met with this create a new company sort of page, and there's a few bits of information you need to enter within here, so you can find your actual company within Prima. The first one is the account info. So this first box is your customer's account code, so whatever you classify your company by, make it easy to search for sort of sales orders, invoices, etc. Some customers may use their own certain standardisation, so they'll always put sort of the first few letters of the company name followed by a couple of account codes. For example, if we had a few companies like this that were sort of named after a certain Mike, then you could probably put Mike 003 004 just so it follows in with the same suit. So this section here is the company name. You put whatever you want in there. The next one is the customer account code, and what this is the account code that uses to transfer to your financial system. So it's always good to match this up with the account info, so when you are transferring the information across, you know exactly what customer it's for. And then you've got the supplier account code for your supplier if there is one. The next option is the invoice profile, and there's a few different options within here, such as merged invoices, single invoice by sales order, and this is how you define what type of invoicing your customer is going to be getting, whether it's a single invoice on a monthly basis, whether it's going to be getting invoiced for every single sales order that you get, a fully dispatched sales order, or there's a few options for monthly merged invoices by certain criteria such as location, cost centres, departments and references. That all goes off information that you do set up in the company, so depending on what you've agreed with your customer, this is where you go to set up for their invoicing. For most of your customers, they're probably just going to ask for either single invoices by sales order or a merged invoice on a monthly basis. They do put quite a few orders through you. The next one is the invoice profile, and that's the frequency that they'll be receiving their invoices, whether it's on a fortnightly basis, weekly or monthly. So again, whatever you've agreed with your customer, you just set up and select here. Now the next one is the invoice report. So if you have sort of a certain custom report that you've set up for specific customers who have a certain profile, then you can select that from here. And again, once you've set the reports up within the report designer, they'll be listed here. So it's just a case of whatever you want for your customer, just select from the drop down. The invoice medium is how they receive them, and now this is important for the actual invoicing section. It defines how your customers will actually receive them. So if you do use the batch processing, then this is where it pulls the information from, whether or not it'll print your invoices out, or it'll actually just send them electronically through email. So it's always key to select this information and make sure it's exactly what your customer wants, whether they want to receive it as a letter or in an email. There's a few tick boxes within here, which are this defines what happens on sort of a sales order, so whether an order's reference is required, a customer department is required within the actual sales order, or whether you want it to be invoiced on authorization. So whatever you tick on these will automatically be selected within the sales order. So if you always want this a certain customer to receive an invoice as soon as they've placed the order, then you select this tick box, and within the sales order it will automatically select that. The next option is mailed on authorization, and what this means is that whenever you hit authorize, a report for that sales order will be emailed out to your customer. Within the notes section you can put some information about the company, and this will pull through onto the sales order and further on. So if they've got certain delivery requirements, or it's a certain person that you need to speak to when you get to anything like that, you can put within the notes. On the right hand side, we've got the company type, and this is whether it's a customer, just a prospect that you're looking to get, or if it is a supplier. So you can always categorise your customers by this. So for this test account, we're going to select the customer. Next one is account status, and this is sort of if they owe you money or anything. This is how you define whether or not you actually want to send goods out to customers. For the majority, when you're setting up a new customer, it'll just be normal trading, but as I'm sure that they go along, and depending on whether or not they owe you sort of invoices and etc., then you can change them to be on hold or refer to accounts. So it's just a way to classify that. The next little thing in here is something that actually is in testing at the moment, and it is multi-currency. So what you can do here is select sort of the currency that company is going to use. Now this is in testing at the moment, and if any of our customers that are listening today do want to participate in that testing, then just get in contact with us and we can discuss that further with you. But it is in testing at the moment, so it's not actually been released to the base yet. So if you are interested in that, then contact our support department and we'll be able to get that organised. Next one is the account manager, so define who this customer belongs to. So whoever you want to select the name, just select the name from the list. The next is the business group, and this is just a way that you can classify what group this company and customer falls under. So it's a way that you can use the marketing details and group certain companies together to market towards, or just to group them together, find them in Prima. And you can select either what's already been pre in the list, inputted into the list, or you can actually add new items at the very bottom by clicking the add item button, and you'll see that within a few sort of drop downs within the company setup. Price and print type is just the way that it shows in invoices and on the web store and everything. So for the majority, you want to just leave it as standard. Once you're happy with the information within here, all you want to do is hit create and open. And what that'll do, that'll create that company for you within Prima. And there we go. This is the company section within Prima. So again, at the top we've got sort of similar information that we've just gone through, whether a prospect, a customer, supplier. Then on the left hand side we've got the primary location and invoice location. Now this is useful when you've got sort of quite a big customer with multiple locations. You set the headquarters or the primary location you'll be delivering to this within this drop down, and that means that on sales orders and everything, it'll pull in this as a default. The invoice location is the location that will receive the invoices. So if they've got a certain accounts department, they're in different buildings, the headquarters, then you can select the invoice location from here. Now this is also key when setting up a parent company. So if you've got a few different sort of few customers that have multiple locations that are actually, it's better off setting up as individual companies, then what you can do, you can enter the parent company within here, and against the child companies you can select the invoice location to be parent. And what that means is that any invoices that are generated for these child companies will be pushed through to the parent location. On the right hand side we have the create contract button, and that is where you go if you've agreed some certain prices with the customer particularly to create a contract. So it's just a case of highlighting, clicking the button, it'll come through and create a contract. And if you wanted to start adding items to it, you'd be able to just click new record and start adding items to it. So at the very bottom here we've got a list of locations, and this is where you'll be able to set up or amend current locations. Now within here it's key to remember that you won't be able to delete a location if there's a history against it, so whatever you're setting up, make sure that the information within here is correct. You've got all the certain address information, so you can put where the base, just so your dispatch notes and everything are up to date with the relevant information. Now one cool feature within here is the coordinates, which can be used for sort of deliveries and everything. So if we just enter in a postcode, and set the coordinates. What that does is links with the Google Maps section within here to actually give you an idea of where that customer is based. So it'll give you a nice view of the map to see where that customer is based exactly for your delivery drivers. So if we go back to this section, we've got a few options on the right hand side as well as a few tick boxes here. Now what you can do within this section is give the option for your customers to only receive full orders. So you won't be able to part deliver certain orders, it'll have to be the full order that are received to them within Prima, as well as the ability to apply delivery charges. So if that's something that you do send out to your customers, you will have to select this tick box before you select any delivery charges that are set up within this drop down here. Again, you've got certain area managers on this side that you can set up, as well as a sales area. So if you've got your salespeople set up to be within certain areas, then you can set these to be within that area, so you know that salesperson is this company is under that salesperson's area. Again, within it, if you're running sort of multiple depots, so you've got a warehouse in a certain location and a warehouse in another location, then you can select this customer to be against a certain location, a certain depot. So any stock or any orders for this company will come through to Depot B if that's where they are. The default delivery type, so if this customer is sort of quite far away and it costs you sort of too much to deliver to them, then you could select this location to be a direct delivery, meaning it'll be on the supplier to send that to them. Set up van routes and bus stops, as well as selecting whether or not they're exempt from VAT within this location section here. Now, right at the very bottom, we have suppliers that are excluded from pricing calculations. And what this enables you to do is if a customer, if you do sort of direct deliveries or something like that, and the customer is quite far away from a certain supplier, then you can exclude a certain supplier from that company, meaning sort of they won't be included in any pricing calculations on sales orders and things like that. Within this location section, you are able to quickly link to other locations if there are any against that company by just going to this other locations and double clicking on the other line. Now we've also got the contacts section, and this is where you would set up the contacts for that company. If you're looking to set up a new contact, you need to go into this section and just hit the new button here, and it'll populate the thing so you can enter the information for the new contact. There may be sort of a number of things you see in here with middle name, nickname, etc. Now, sort of the top 5 here, the title, the first name, the middle name, the suffix, they're all used for the marketing information. So whether you give it a title of Miss, Mr. or Doctor, their actual names will all be pulled through into the marketing that we've got set up. The key bit of information is that the nickname, this is what is used sort of on any reports, anything like that. So you always enter your customer's name into the nickname, and when you do create a new contact, it shows up yellow as mandatory, so that's something you will need to enter. You can select the position within the company, so again you can add an item in here if it isn't within the list that's already there. Again, you can select these to be against a certain location, so if these are a different office, then you can always change that rather than just being stuck there. And then a default medium, which is the default way that they'd like to be contacted if they're specifically email or specifically on the phone. You can select that within here. On the right hand side, we've got sort of classifications, and again this is a way that you can break down the customers and group them into certain categories that can be used for your marketing to export certain information to you. So you can directly advertise to these type of customers for any new products, anything like that. So it's just a way of adding a grouping to the customers specifically from here. That is the location, the contacts covered. They're pretty simple and easy to use. It's just a case of entering information in there, and once the information is in there, you probably won't have to touch the locations again. The next section we've got is the journals. Some of you may have used these before. What you can do, you can set up tasks for specific users within Prima. So say you've been to a show recently, or you've been to visit this customer and they were interested in speaking to you about a quote, you can put a journal within here and assign it to a salesperson within your team, and that'll notify them that this customer needs a call back, or that they require speaking to about a quote. You select the owner for the journal within here, and then the contact that it's assigned to within that company. So if it's you want to speak to the managing director, something like that, then you can select the specific user it's marked against. Select the subject for the journal. So if it was they wanted a call back about a quote, you'd then be able to enter this into here. And then some information about the specific journal. You can also categorise the journals, so if it's at the moment they're quite generic, but you can add more into there to classify them a little bit further. Also within this section, it's more of an audit log, so you can see if a contact's been created, when it's been created, if a location's been created, a number of things, so you can actually keep a bit of an audit log of what's going on at this company. Next section is the mailing section, and what can happen within this section once it loads. Whenever if you've got your system set up so it actually receives emails into there, you can actually link emails to a company specifically, so you can have a full overview of any emails back and forth from the company within this section here. You can also generate emails out to the company from here, so if you need to speak to them about something, then you can generate a new email from this section. The next section is the report. If you are emailing the customer, it's more than likely going to be from this section. For example, if your customer requires sort of a copy of the details you do have in file, then you can send the company details report out from here, and it just gives your customer a quick overview of what information you do have on them, just in case they do request anything like that. So we'll just wait for this to load up. So you can just send them a report out like this. It's pretty blank at the moment because there's not much information within this customer, and it's a pretty blank report. So if you do require, if your customer requires the information sent about them, so they know exactly what information they've got, or if they're moving buildings and they want to just update their records, they can send this out to them and they can send it back with any information that has changed. The next tab is the marketing tab, and this is just a way that you can specify certain information about the company. So when their financial year ends, the year they were established, registered numbers, VAT numbers, employees, etc. So you know exactly sort of how big your customer can be, and a few other things. Again, one of the most important things in here is actually the classifications, and it's just another way that you can break down and see exactly sort of what your customer is, so you can market towards them. Within this section, this is where the notes would show that you could enter when you first set up the company. So it's shown within this section. If you do want to make any amendments there, it's within here that you do that. It's pretty self-explanatory, this section. It's just a case of entering information or selecting classifications if you want to group certain companies. On to the next one. And there's quite a lot that goes on within this customer tab. This is where you'd update sort of your invoice profiles and your account codes if anything does change. So for example, if this customer come to me and said, oh, I want to receive a single monthly invoice, it's in here that we change it to merged invoices and whether they want it on certain locations, cost centres, etc. So this is where we'd do that change. At the very bottom, we've got some of the tick boxes that were selected sort of at first, the invoice and authorisation, and whether anything is mandatory within the sales order. Another option within here is to override the references. So if your customer wants to change a reference, or a reference has been entered in but the sales order has been progressed to the stage that you can't make change to it, if you had this override references ticked, you'd be able to overwrite that at a later date. You can actually just auto-authorise imported orders as well within this section. You can have that enabled. On the right hand side there, we've got how you can set up cost centres and departments against the company. So if they've got a certain cost centre for the different departments they do have in their building, we can set it up here and add them in to be used on sort of sales orders and against lines, etc. Just above it we do have an EDI set up. So this is if any of your customers want to receive invoices, something like that, electronically, then you can set the connection up through here. If your customers do have that facility within their systems, then there is an option for you to do that within this section. The next tab, this only really applies if the company you're setting up is a supplier, and this is where you'd set up the EDI. So if it's one of the suppliers that do EDI with us, then it's within this section that you would set up the connection. So from the list you'd select the connection. So if it was Val, for example, you'd take the information that Val had sent you and enter the connection username and etc. into this section. So it's just another way that you can send your orders. So that's what is done within the supplier section here. On the right hand side you've got delivery code. So if you do want to set up the EDI with them, within here you'd set up the delivery codes that they do send to you. So whether it be the direct pit wrap and label, the standard, anything else that they do send across, and it's all done within this delivery code section. And to do that, it's just a case of adding and inputting the information that they've actually sent out to you. The very last section of the company setup is the product and pricing. Now within here, this is where you'd set up any discount bands, as well as associating your companies with your web store control company if you do use our web store. The recommended setup for sort of the catalogue and mailers is that within this section you only input mailers. All the catalogue should be handled through the web store control company, so you shouldn't really be inputting catalogues into this section. It should only be mailers that you use here. So if you wanted to add a mailer within this section, you'd highlight one from the list. So for example, if we were just going to take any file as an example, we just add it, and it go into that section. It means that sort of any products within there, they would see the pricing for. To associate your company with the web store control company, so they can see whatever products are set up within there, it's a case of highlighting this drop down and selecting the web store control company from the list. Further down we have discount bands. So if you do use discount or matrix bands, it's within here that you can set them against company level. So you can give this customer or this company a specific discount unique to them. So if you wanted to give them a certain unique discount on the US compatibles, you can highlight the band from the list and enter the discount that you want to give them within this extra discount field. So if we want to give these 15%, you'd enter this within there and just hit add. If you wanted to remove the band or remove the catalogue, it's just a case of highlighting them and hit remove. The section below this is in regards to automatic switching of products. So if you have a customer that only wants a specific brand of products, you could put sort of the product in here and it would automatically switch to that section. And any sort of system alternatives or alternatives that are set up against that product. And against the very bottom here, we've got something similar to the location. So where in the location you can exclude suppliers from that specific location, we can exclude them from the whole company here rather than just location based. So again, it was similar to the same, just a case of hitting add supplier and finding the supplier from the drop down list. On the right hand side we have the web pay type, and this is only really relevant if you do use our web store, and this is sort of how they're actually going to pay on the web store. So whether it be an account and it generate an invoice at a later date, or whether it be the option of having to pay by credit card there and then through the different payment gateways that we do integrate with on the web store. Other options within here, if you were going to set up this company as a web store control company, you'd select that button, but If you've already got one set up, then you'll never have to use that. And then the final thing is adding pricing association to the web store control company. So what this means is that anything that's within here, so discount bands, contracts, etc., will be ignored, and it will be pulled in from the web store control company. So whatever pricing you've got set up against them, it'll pull through to this company. Now, if you do have any questions about what we've just gone through, we will be hanging around at the end there, but that's pretty much the end of today's webinar. Don't forget to follow us on our Prima Help Twitter, because we're always sending out useful tips and tricks on how to use Prima to give you that little bit of an edge. If you're interested in any training, anything like that on the system, then please contact our support department. We'll be more than happy to speak to you about the available training packages and services that we do offer. If you do have any questions, we'll be hanging around for a little while, so don't forget to drop us a message in live chat or contact our customer service department. Thanks for your time today, I hope you all have a nice weekend.